see you. We will make a color of the road and shout. Right up front, man. I can see it now.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am StooDogg. Welcome back to another exciting episode of whatever this is. Coronavirus YouTube news stuff. Try writing that as a title for a video. Anyway, let's jump right into it. Coronavirus Disease 2019 Covid-19 updates. The impact of coronavirus Covid-19 is evolving every day. Check back here for regular updates on how YouTube is addressing the situation. And so, we did. Latest updates. To which the latest update on the list is the second latest update. Okay, YouTube. Let's start off with that one. April 1st, 2020, COVID-19 health panels. Starting today, we're launching additional health panels for COVID-19 that show in results for searches related to COVID-19. These panels include text-based health info from the WHO, WHO, and NHS. And content like symptoms, prevention and treatment. During this time, we want to continue to prioritize local health sources, so you may see both an information panel with a link to a local health authority and the COVID-19 health panel. 2nd of April 2020, monetizing COVID-19 related content. We've expanded monetization of content mentioning or featuring COVID-19 to all the creators and news organizations. As always, content must follow both advertiser-friendly guidelines and community guidelines. Well, standard, I suppose. And that's pretty much it for YouTube news and updates regarding COVID-19, ladies and gentlemen. In other news, a bit like our last episode, the only other major thing that I saw was that dinosaurs are continuing to walk the earth. Dinosaur roams the earth once again to the delight of town's residents. Evening Express, Scotland. And there's a picture of a person in a dinosaur costume runs along the main street in Calendar, Perthshire. The coronavirus lockdown may be why the streets are quieter than usual, but in one Perthshire town, there was another reason for people to stay at home. A dinosaur was spotted roaming Calendar Main Street on Thursday, although there was no panic caused by this inflatable Tyrannosaurus Rex. Locals in isolation have been kept entertained by a person roaming the streets in a T-Rex costume. Although the few who were out walking also saw the funny side, the same could not be said for one dog who barked at the fearsome beast. It forced the dinosaur to shuffle away, with the person inside getting a bit of a jump from a passing lorry blaring its horn. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a computer game that I have on Steam called Plague Inc. And apparently a few months ago they have been banned in China. Statement on the removal of Plague Inc. from China App Store and Steam. We have some very sad news to share with our China-based players. We've just been informed that Plague Inc. includes content that is illegal in China as determined by the Cyberspace Administration of China and was removed from the China App Store. This situation is completely out of our control. Updated 2nd March 2020, Plague Inc. has now been removed from Steam in China as well. Plague Inc. is a huge critical and commercial success, 8 years old, and with over 130 million players. It is the #1 strategy simulation game worldwide and has been the most popular paid game in China for many years. Plague Inc. stands out as an intelligent and sophisticated simulation that encourages players to think and learn more about serious public health issues. We have a huge amount of respect for our Chinese players and are devastated that they are no longer able to access and play Plague Inc. That quite upsets me as well, ladies and gentlemen. It's quite a good game. It's a very competent strategy game. It is not clear to us if this removal is linked to the ongoing coronavirus outbreak that China is facing. However, Plague Inc.'s educational importance has been repeatedly recognised by organisations like the CDC, and we are currently working with major global health organisations to determine how we can best support their efforts to contain and control COVID-19. We are working very hard to try and find a way to get the game back in the hands of Chinese players. We don't want to give up on you, however. As a tiny independent game studio in the UK, the odds are stacked against us. Our immediate priority is to try and make contact with the Cyberspace Administration of China to understand their concerns and work with them to find a resolution. Nothing is changing outside of mainland China. We will continue to support and update both Plague Inc. and our newest game, Rebel Inc. on all platforms, whilst also working hard to try and find a way to bring Plague Inc. back to players in China. We will share more information about our efforts to support the fight against COVID-19 soon. You can find our statement on the current coronavirus outbreak here, and there's also a Chinese translation available. I guess a statement on coronavirus would be interesting to have a look at as well. Let's zoop our way into that one, shall we? Statement on the current coronavirus outbreak. The coronavirus outbreak in China is deeply concerning, and we've received a lot of questions from players and the media. Plague Inc. has been out for 8 years now, and whenever there's an outbreak of disease, we see an increase in players, as people seek to find out more about how diseases spread and to understand the complexities of viral outbreaks. We specifically designed the game to be realistic and informative, whilst not sensationalizing serious real-world issues. This has been recognised by the CDC and other leading medical organisations around the world. However, please remember that Plague Inc. is a game, not a scientific model, and that the current coronavirus outbreak is a very real situation which is impacting a huge number of people. We would always recommend that players get their information directly from local and global health authorities. You can find out more about the CDC and Plague Inc. here. You can find out more information about the coronavirus here. Let's dive into the CDC and the Plague Inc., shall we? Fascinating, this one's actually on the CDC site itself. Public Health Matters blog, Plague Inc., April 16th, 2013, by Ali S. Khan. James Vaughan, founder of Endemic Creations, spoke to CDC staff on March 20th, 2013 about his new mobile app, Plague Inc. Within the game, players select a pathogen and strategize how to evolve symptoms, transmit the disease, and counter actions taken by world governments and scientists. With a successful disease, players can watch as governments fall and humanity is wiped out. I became interested in Vaughan's game as a tool to teach the public about outbreaks and disease transmission, because of how it uses a non-traditional route to raise public awareness on epidemiology, disease transmission, and diseases pandemic information. The game creates a compelling world that engages the public on serious public health topics. For PHPR, using non-conventional methods to communicate with the public has worked really well in the past, through social media and blogs posts. We were very excited to welcome James to CDC and learn more about using other digital platforms to reach a general audience. CDC uses digital media to raise awareness on health issues that the nation faces today, says Catherine Lyon Daniel, PhD, Associate Director of Communications at CDC. Meeting with industry leaders is a great way to learn more about reaching new audiences through mobile apps. I sat down with Mr. Vaughan to learn more about the game, its creation, and what he plans to do next. How did you come up with the idea of Plague Inc? I made Plague Inc as a hobby. I was a strategy consultant in my day job, but I wanted to give myself a creative challenge in my spare time. Plague Inc is a bit like the film Contagion. I've never seen that film, except that you are the disease. The 2008 Flash game Pandemic 2, never played it, gave me the idea of spreading a disease around the world. I liked the game, but I thought it could be even better if I had deeper strategy, a strong narrative, increased realism, and a lot more, so I decided to make it. How long did it take to develop Plague Inc? It took around a year to develop the game. I could only work on it in the evening and on weekends because I had never made a game before. It was very much a case of learning as I went. Luckily, I found 3 great freelancers who were able to help. How did you ensure it was a realistic game? Without a medical background, I did a lot of online research in order to make sure it felt realistic to players. Luckily, I have always been very interested in biology as well as economics and current affairs. This helped a lot when I was building the algorithms and models inside the game. A critical stage in the game is the infection cycle that dictates how many people become infected with the disease and how they infect others. The game revolves around this stage, and I spent months making sure it worked properly. The core design is based on the concept of basic reproduction rate, and I found lots of great papers online which taught me more about it. Ladies and gentlemen, when I play Plague Inc., I basically play along the lines of trying to infect as many people as possible as quickly as possible, but not going into like overly deadly effects of a disease, and then once loads and loads and loads of people are infected, that's when I start layering down all of the deadly things like organ failure and stuff like that. Infect and then kill. What kind of audience does Plague Inc. reach, and what do they get from it? Plague Inc. has been downloaded over 10 million times worldwide, and over 200 million games have been played to date. As an intelligent and sophisticated strategy game, I think Plague Inc. appeals to people looking for something more meaningful and substantial than the majority of mobile games. It makes people think about infectious disease in a new light, helping them to realize the threats that we face every day. An interesting fact is that it has also become an educational tool. Teachers and professors often get in touch to let me know how they used Plague Inc. to illustrate biological and economical concepts to their students. Were players of Plague Inc. interested to know that you'd been invited to the CDC? Yes. The reaction to the news has been extremely positive, and people are keen to know more. In the first 24 hours after I announced my visit to the CDC, almost 1 million people had seen tweets about it. I think people were excited to see that a prestigious organisation like the CDC was interested in the game. A lot of people also hoped that visiting the CDC would give me ideas for future updates of the game, which it did. Ladies and gentlemen, this article being written in 2013 must have been before Twitter devolved into an absolute farce hole that it is today. What did you learn at CDC? It was fascinating to meet the people who are working hard every day to keep us safe from the types of threats that Plague Inc. features. I got a tour of the Emergency Operations Centre and Broadcast Centre, as well as a trip to the CDC Museum. They gave me a lot of contextual information about how the CDC works, which will help me add a greater level of realism to the game in the future, especially in terms of how humanity reacts to outbreaks. What are you working on now, and what do you have coming out next? Plague Inc. is still proving to be an incredibly popular game, so my main focus must be to keep improving the game and adding new content for players. 7 years later, that's still happening. Recently, I released an update which added a zombie-themed plague, as well as translating the game into 4 other languages. In the next update, I will be adding a new game mode for players, translating it into Japanese and Korean, and hopefully adding some CDC content. Posted on April 16, 2013 by Ali S. Khan. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was quite interesting. There are comments. Consider global applications, FELTP, and training for other diseases. Smartphones and other tablet-like tools are popular and available overseas in most resource-restricted countries. Most learn quicker if it's fun. I played the game and enjoyed it. The issue I have is that, well, it is clearly inspired by Pandemic 1 or 2, which is an old Flash game that has been out for years. Granted, to each his own, but still give credit where credit is due. I don't know, I mean, you don't see every single game crediting every single game in the past, do you? I'd like to thank Pong and Asteroids for being video games in the past before my video game was a video game. Did you even read the article? He clearly gave credit to Pandemic. I played the game and I love it. After a game accidentally on some site I saw a film, Contagion. They have the same story, same tragedy, even same music at the end of the film. And after I found that creator was inspired by film. The music is an incredible part of film and game. It's great. I want to say thank you because it's one of the best games I've ever played, and between us, I thought the last moments of the film showed that disease was started again. But can you make zombies though? Played it on PC for the first time a few days ago. The first disease was the most interesting to me as it actually triggered some sort of emotional response, which is rare for a game without any kind of story. Made my little bacteria highly infectious, but with a very few and minor symptoms, and after billions were infected, I made it cause total organ failure. That's how I play my game. Watching the death toll skyrocket and the map go dark red was quite a chilling experience. God, please don't make zombies. Zombies are over. At this point, I'm about ready to bring sparkly vampires back instead of more zombies. Oh, he did. Haven't played this yet, though I intend to, as I liked Pandemic 2. I just hope you've made it so you don't have to pretty much rely on pure luck to get into Cuba or Madagascar. Oh, yeah. Madagascar and Iceland and Greenland. Remember to get recent outbreak contained. The game is brilliant and really one of the main reasons I chose to focus my dissertation on the spread of disease and how it is made accessible to the public. It has a fun element to a very real concept. I love the mobile version as well as Plague Inc. Evolved. Great work. CDC could negotiate copyright licenses for the use of the game platform and engine to modify using others in exchange of academic support for the game. That would be great. I would not buy this game due to the reason of it being hostile to population. Any person with a bad tweak can turn into a weapon because this game has given them a bad idea. You should have built a game to prevent and save population instead, such as developing and giving ideas how to stop such a spread. That's not very free speech of you. I mean, anything can turn a person into a bad person. Even a book could turn a person into a bad person. You just need to kind of inherently trust people. I love this game so much. A response to the one above. Do you honestly think someone could turn this game into any type of weapon? You do realise that you cannot actually modify a disease or bacteria from your cell phone. If someone has that type of knowledge, they could do it anyway. The game in no way would allow you to start infecting people, regardless of what you want to do with it. I don't think they mean they'll use their phone. I think they mean it'll give someone an idea to do something similar, which is equally ridiculous. Not sure if trolling or really stupid. Your concerns are unfounded. Playing Plague Inc. will not make anyone an epidemiologist or a biowarfare expert any more than running around with a plastic lightsaber and making vroom noises makes me Luke Skywalker. If you examine Plague Inc.'s gameplay, the decisions you make as the pathogen highlight some of the basic principles, how a pathogen spreads, how the environment works against it, and so on. These are the same elements researchers must study when working with something like Ebola, so we are able to develop medicines like Zimap and not run around spreading nonsense like it's God's punishment. For that matter, biowarfare, along the lines of what you're suggesting, has been portrayed in the popular media before, as with Tom Clancy's Executive Orders 1996 and Rainbow Six 1998, long before Plague Inc. arrived on the scene, and with a considerably larger audience. Lol, everyone just started ripping into that person. It was funny, as the guy didn't go to school. The game is hardly realistic, as every new mutation you buy with DNA points is always immediately active on all existing pathogen in the world, something that would never happen in real life. The chances of a certain mutation happening simultaneously all over the world and multiple times during the limited lifetime of humanity after the disease starts spreading, nah. So let's not worry about someone being able to copy this into a real-life attack. It's simply impossible. Let's just enjoy the great game and be grateful that it teaches people things. And I agree credit is due since the entire company is called Endemic. There's no coincidence there. They are obviously playing on the success of earlier games called Pandemic, Board Game, and Flash Game. I'm not sure about that. The Candida auris outbreak occurred almost simultaneously around the world, so the origin of this new strain is still being researched. The first outbreak started in 2009. Diseases and the likes are very adaptable, and the new strain can spread rapidly. Granted, it wouldn't happen instantaneously. And the most recent comment, here I am playing Plague Inc in my room and I see that a new virus has surfaced in China IRL. My first thought was only 400 infected and it's been noticed. This shouldn't be able to get too far, so cheers to Plague Inc for helping me avoid panicking, and thank you CDC, WHO and others for watching out for these things. Anyway, I think we can leave off on this rock that I've seen on social media, NHS Rainbow. If you find this, fuck off home. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I have been StooDogg. If you found this video moderately useful or moderately entertaining, please feel free to use the YouTube share functions and hit the like button if you felt that you liked it. If you felt that you disliked it after watching all this way, feel free to hit the dislike button as well. That will prevent this video from being shown to you again in future. If you want to help me go viral, you can share my channel with your friends and you can subscribe. I'm almost at 1,000 subscribers, currently around about 900. So if you want to help me reach that landmark milestone, please do so by hitting the subscribe button. Anyway, I'll catch you next time. See ya.